How's it going, guys? John here. I had another slightly aggravating phone call. It irritates me when I have people who call me up all hours of the day. I get constant phone calls. Everybody wants me to dump money into their advertising services. And I'm like, okay, fine. Why would I need to do that? And one guy was like, you should advertise on YouTube because you'll make a lot of views that way. And I'm like, really? Advertise on YouTube? Well, you want to know what the downside is? Because I do advertising too, and there's times that I play like I don't know what I'm talking about, so I could see what kind of people I'm dealing with. Because some people, if they think you don't know what they're talking about, they're gonna feed you a load of bullshit and think you're dumb enough to take the bait. And they're like, you need to advertise on YouTube. Well, the problem with YouTube is I can skip an ad after 5 seconds. And why would I do that? Do you guys want to know where the real revenue is? It ain't in YouTube anymore. Yeah, you can target a lot of people and Google charges a fortune, but think about it. I can get a plug-in for the Firefox browser. I know that the Brave browser, which is built on Google's Chrome, has the built-in ad blockers. Both of those features I can add for free on my computer, and it will literally skip every single ad. Brave browser will just keep playing the videos, no ads. It'll literally block them all. So how is advertising revenue going to go and work on a service that you can just easily bypass? It doesn't. Tubi TV, streaming services like Pluto TV, and the ones like that, those are where the revenue's at. Because you can't skip those commercials. Do you know how many people log on to Tubi TV on a daily basis? More people log on to Tubi TV than people do Netflix. Why? Because they don't want to pay the stupid subscription fee to watch movies. So that being said, and not to mention, Tubi TV is now owned by Fox. That's why they have such great movie content, because they're not going to pay a royalty to themselves to use the videos that they made, right? And I'm tired of getting calls from marketing people who just sit there and want me to spend tens of thousands of dollars on ads through them. Dude, I can do my own ads. I don't need you for that. And I was like, we started a social network to compete with Facebook, right? And it's called Freebook. Freebook. There it is. Freebook. That's why I call it that, because we don't censor people. We don't put privacy over profit, this and that. And I'm like, dude. So they're like, it's kind of required to hire their service that I have to pay for YouTube or Facebook ads. That is a requirement. I'm like, I'm not giving my competitor my money. I'm sure as hell not working for a company that I used to work for that I know is evil in every way. Facebook is insanely evil. Mark Zuckerberg has this mentality of, I own Facebook, everybody in the world has Facebook, therefore I am God and I own the world. That's how he thinks, that's how he treats Facebook, and that's why you get censored all the time. So that being said, why would I dump my money into my competitors? And since we have a search engine now, we're also a Facebook, Google, and Amazon competitor with our launch of the Amazing Shopping Network. Amazing. It's how people speak in the Midwest. I'm in the state of Missouri. Amazing is how people speak. That's the analogy. Go to Branson, Missouri, and you'll realize that most people down there have a very country-like mentality, which is not a bad thing. I actually like the country folk because they're real. They're authentic. They're not fake like people are in Los Angeles. I've been to L.A. People are incredibly fake in California. But here in the Midwest, people are real, man. They just keep it real. They ain't got time to fuck around, So that being said, it's a good name. And the Freebook Web is the gateway to all these platforms. And here soon, we are launching a operating system to compete with Windows. I call it Lindows. Yes, Lindows used to exist back in the day. It was a Linux-based clone operating system that somewhat looked like Windows XP. And it hasn't existed for a long time. But we are working on that. So we're not only going to take on Google and Facebook and Amazon, but we're going to take on Microsoft too and give people a network of opportunities that puts privacy and people's safety first. You know, sorry that I'm kind of a little distracted right now. I'm taking the time to do some dishes that I've been letting back up for a couple of days. So I've been working so much I haven't had time to, do my house chores. But yeah, so Freebook is literally a place where people can be safe. And the operating system we built, while it looks and acts almost identical to Windows 10, without the Windows logo, of course, we put our little circle with the Freebook deal on there. So that is, we're going to use that as our logo. But outside of that, it looks and acts exactly like Windows 10. And it is Linux-based, 100% open source Linux. No copyright, no code. Everything on there is open source, so there's no licensing for open source software. And we charge a service fee when you download it. You're paying for the support, not the software. If you opt out of the support, you can just download it for free. So that's what we're working on. Yeah, so that's another area. And people are like, how come you got so many things going on? Why can't you just stick with one? Well, I'm not your average person. I can do more than one thing. Most people can't do more than one thing. I know so many people that they cannot comprehend how I built more than one thing. Like, you can't do more than one thing. I can't, therefore you can't. And I'm like, dude, quit being so closed-minded. You can if you really want to, And if you're going to compete with one, you might as well compete with them all. That's the way I see it. Google has way more power over the world now than anybody should. Literally, they control the internet. They, at one point, put a false flag banner on our website that would, before, when you would go to the website, it would say, this is a fraudulent phishing site. Which it wasn't, but they just did that because they didn't like the fact that we were competing with them, and that was their way of censoring us by making people think that we were a fraudulent company. And it took me hiring a lawyer and several cease and desist letters before they finally let it go. And I have yet to hear from Google. In fact, I don't even use Google Services email anymore. We're building our own web browser for the Freebook Web. And I built all of this by myself. It took me 13 years. But you know what? It pisses me off that I keep getting calls from random BS of people who want me to dump 20 grand that I don't have into advertising. And I can do those advertisements myself. I don't need that. I don't need these people's expertise when I can literally do all the work myself. I would rather do it myself because, one, I've hired people in the past, and hiring people just seems like, you screw it up. And I'd rather do it myself and get it done right than to hire somebody to do it and screw it up, right? Now, one thing that I contracted with was a data center provider. And they have data centers all over the world. And thanks to this data center company that we are hosted on now, we have 10 million web servers at our disposal. And that brings the company's estimated valuation at over $1 billion in assets. Now, assets and money are two different things. You have assets, which are items that you sell, tangible items. Can be a company car, that's an asset. Products that the company has are assets. You walk into a store and everything on the shelf is a company asset. Each price tag is added together as the valuation of that company and their assets. And since we have web servers up the ass right now, we have literally over $1 billion in assets. And we sell web hosting on our network, on the Freebook Cloud web hosting service, for $180 a year. Now, we are setting up our reseller system, which will act like the Uber of web hosting. And we're going to share 50% commission with resellers. And most of the people we work with own independent marketing companies. And they want some way they can grow their revenue without being limited. And most hosting providers will sell you a dedicated server with a billing software and a cPanel license, and you're limited to 100 customers on that server, and that's considered a reseller server in most places. But we don't have it like that. We set it up where you're a reseller for the service, and you can sell as much as you want, you get $90 commission per sale. Company takes 50%, you take 50%. Half of $180 is $90. Therefore, you get it. And we have 10 million servers at our disposal, and we're going to share some of these assets with you guys by allowing you to resell our service along with us, and you can grow your revenue. And really, it's easy. It's super easy, because all you have to do is go into the business and say, hey, man, I see you're hosting with HostGator. And they're going to be like, yeah, I don't really like it, but, you know, I don't have time to switch. You know, okay, well, you offer them something. HostGator's web hosting service is literally, I think their highest drive space is 50 gigabytes. I don't know about you guys, but my phone has more space on it than that. So you go down and you go through Hosting Checker or the DNS checkers. You find out who their web hosting provider is. And if you know it's a shitty company like HostGator or Bluehost, which is owned by HostGator, or some other company where they literally limit you. For example, Namecheap. Namecheap is one of the shadiest companies I've ever seen, because they say their servers are unlimited when you buy it, but what they don't tell you until after you're done paying for the service, that they literally limit how many files you can have. 300,000 is your file limit. They call it an inode. And people are like, that's a lot. And I'm like, no, it's really not. Think about it. WordPress alone, without your website template, just the software, it's 47,000 files that make up the WordPress site itself. Get a couple more websites going of equal size, and you got your 300,000 file limit filled up. And that's Namecheap. So Freebook Cloud is 100% unlimited, and we only allow resellers on the shared section. The dedicated section is not quite up and running yet. So we're only selling one product on there, which is shared hosting, or actually it's cloud hosting, but it's set up like a shared server because our system is different than most companies. Our system has what we call an auto-scaling Linux system. It's made up of somewhat like an artificially intelligent system that says, okay, this website over here is using more memory. Now, normal shared servers, you would share your resources, your processor, your memory, and everything with an existing user, right? And that user base, you'd all be sharing resources, which if one person's using more than the other, that would slow the other websites on the system down. Ours is what we call an auto-scaling system. And that will dedicate whatever resources you need only to you based on the system. So our systems run AMD, Ryzen, and EPYC processors. And they have a terabyte of memory and 20 terabytes of hard drive in each server. That being said, the auto-scaling portion of the Linux operating system, which we took Red Hat and Cloud Linux, removed the Cloud Linux licenses and the Red Hat licenses, and we added all the great features that you normally have to pay Cloud Linux for, and we call it Data Center Linux. So we built our own auto-scaling system. And it will dedicate what your site uses only to you, which makes it faster, better, and more reliable. Not to mention the company that provides the data center and the technology has a global cache. So your website, while hosted in Dallas, Texas, will be cached all over the world. So if people in Europe are on your website, they're going to browse the cache found in Europe. If you're in the United States, you're going to browse the Dallas, Texas cache. Every country has a cache. Every major part of the world has a cache. Therefore, your cache is constantly updating. Every hour, the cache will update itself to your website. Of course, you can turn that off, and it will just read the Dallas, Texas location globally. And we have our own control panel, so we're not wasting money on cPanel. We call it Centora CP. And it's loosely built on the Centora, the Z-Panel operating system, but it looks and acts a lot like cPanel. And since we have our own proprietary technologies and our own auto-scaling system, The servers are better, and they're truly unlimited, which we don't cap your drive space out. We don't cap out a lot of things that companies cap out nowadays. Obviously, emails are limited, because if you get people on there that literally have no email limits, you'll end up on a blacklist pretty quick, because people who use our services for spamming and stuff will cripple a web server. And that being said, that's what we're doing. So we're hiring marketing people who want to work independent. We have a requirement. We don't hire internationally. You have to be an American citizen. Your country, you have to be in the United States. We're not going to outsource to India or Europe or anywhere but the United States. And we're not trying to be rude about that. But the reason we're doing that is because our president believes in bringing jobs back to America. And that's where this comes in. So we're going to be hiring 2 million resellers nationwide, and it's those resellers that are going to be responsible for 80% of the Freebook growth. And we're also offering stock options to those resellers so they can get return investment later on when the company takes off. And yes, we've only been online for about a month, 2 months roughly. Freebook has been online for a hell of a lot longer than that, but I'm talking about the other portions of the company, the web hosting service, the video sharing service, our news network. All that stuff came after the social network did. So that being said, if you guys are interested in becoming a reseller for Freebook, let me know. This video is going to get posted to the Springfield, Missouri groups, because I'm going to start here. I had a phone appointment recently with a lady who runs... She's in charge of DeVry University on a national scale, and we want to start hiring college students to resell web hosting, because people are often doing like Uber and stuff, and people don't necessarily have the time to do that, and they can become a reseller for us, and when they graduate college, they'll have a permanent reseller position with the company on their way out the door with their diplomas. So yeah. That's how we're going to get launched. And because of COVID, everybody works remotely, and we started off working remotely back in 19, and now it's just kind of stuck that way, and a lot of people find it easier. I have a couple people I work with me already, and one of them's a single mom who does marketing, and she stays at home with her kids and works on her home computer. She finds it so much easier than going to an office and hiring a babysitter, so she just does it at home. And she goes to businesses and says, hey, if you're interested in a better web hosting service, let me know. I see you're using HostGator, for example. They have really limited capabilities. We'd like to offer you something better. If you're interested in a 30-day free trial, we would like to offer that to you. And if you don't like it, you can always go back to the other company. But you won't pay anything for 30 days because we want you to try out the server first. And that literally intrigues people. And they've been helping us. We've had about 200 sales in the last month. Since we launched. So that being said, we're getting there. But 10 million servers is going to take us a long time, but we'll get there. Anyway, I wanted to kind of give you guys a shout out while I got a spare moment. Anyway, God bless, and you all have a classy week.